shockingly noisy. We get a lot of air traffic. We get lots of cars that like to race around. We get lots of landscapers coming through. It's a noisy place. Not exactly prime for doing ASMR, but I do what I can. More often than not, I'm actually upstairs recording my videos in my bedroom closet because it's quieter in there. But I'm looking to kind of soundproof my office a little more in the coming year. So that's long-term goals. But otherwise, this video could be kind of a nice, hopefully nice background noise if you want it while you work, or maybe while you try and get some sleep, or you could ignore it entirely if it's not your cup of tea. But I'm gonna have a cup of coffee because I got some special coffee for my birthday. It is one of my favorite types. It's called Kopi Luwak. Have you ever heard of Kopi Luwak coffee? You want to hear something nasty and weird? It's poop coffee. Seriously, it is poop coffee. So this is it. Kopi Luwak. And there's different brands out there. So what is Kopi Luwak? I'll read you the description. It says, Kopi Luwak is the Rolls Royce of the coffee world. The very best premium tasting coffee money can buy. The Asian palm civet is a tree-living creature indigenous to Indonesia, and they select only the ripest, tallest coffee beans, and these beans pass through whole. That means they poop them out whole after they eat them. They are then collected, thoroughly cleaned, and then roasted for you to enjoy the richest and most luxurious coffee made from Grey One Kopi Luwak Arabic blend. So this coffee is shockingly expensive for having already previously passed through a creature. But from what I've read, there's something about the acidity of the Kopi Luwak stomach that kind of helps neutralize and kind of calm down the coffee to make it super rich. So yes, I'm drinking poop coffee today. I highly recommend it. So I'm gonna pour myself some of that. I also have my special new little cup. It's a little pinch cup. See, pinch cup. And I got it on Etsy from a guy that's in London who makes these by hand. And I think it's just the cutest little thing. It's super cute, isn't it? I think it's pretty. I love that kind of minimalist design. So I'm gonna pour some poop coffee. Oh, and it smells so good. I am a big time coffee drinker. I've tried giving it up a couple times because I somehow, I don't know, I lost my mind. I fell into trends of thinking coffee was gonna be bad for me, and instead it was just like giving up a little joy in my life. So this day and age, I am eager to take whatever joy I can. Be selfish for that. So, cheers. Oh. this. I was super excited. And these are like traditionally flavored, so it has anise in it. So it's gonna have that kind of slight kind of sweet. Not quite licorice, but really, I mean, it is kind of licorice-like, but way more mild. So I'm gonna try this. I've been looking forward to this for so long. I also got up early this morning and ran a 5K. As you can tell by all my medals behind me, I am a huge fan of fun runs. So I do a lot of charity fun runs, and I did one this morning specifically for my birthday, so I am very hungry. Oh yeah. That's legit. That's so good. So this is something I'm just doing for myself today, but tomorrow I'm gonna do some more celebrations with my kids and my husband, because they won't be at work and school tomorrow. But one of my traditions I do every year for my birthday is I actually set up a cereal bar, because I'm a big giant kid and I love cereal. I could eat it any time of the day, any time of night, a bowl of cereal. And so for my birthday, I give myself permission to buy like all the sugary kids cereal, and I line it up, and everybody can just help themselves to it. They either have like, you can have one of every flavor, you can mix it all together and do like graveyard cereal. So tomorrow I'm gonna be doing that, but this is a treat just for me today, and it's good. So good. Do you have any birthday traditions that you do? You know, actually, so one of my birthday gifts for you, whether it's your birthday today or on another day, I wanted you to have a special ASMR birthday message. So along with this video, I'll be posting kind of just like a 3-4 minute short video where I get to celebrate your birthday. So you can pocket that and have it for whenever it's actually your birthday and play that, so that you can have a special shout out birthday message from me to you. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's a fun one. It's super short, but it's fun. I've been having a lot of fun testing out ASMR videos, and you guys have all been so supportive and kind about kind of finding different ones to do. I have some that I want to do once I can invest in some other higher tech materials, but in the meantime I'm kind of just working with what I got. So keep the good ideas coming, suggestions. If there's a vein of ASMR that you really like, let me know. I am down for trying whatever. I personally am a huge fan of mouth sounds, whether that's just tongue clicking or eating, things like that. I also just kind of sometimes like to zone out to those ones where it's just like somebody doing art and you can just hear like the paintbrush or things like that. Just very mellow, calm things. I actually live a very noisy life, and I'm always the one kind of wanting calm and quiet, which is why I personally turn to ASMR a lot. It's very grounding, but I also have these special kind of earplugs where it doesn't it's a feel-good event all the way around. So you can kind of have an excuse to go for a run, do something fun, and know that it's doing good just beyond your own health. So that's cool. Fun if you can do it with a group of people. I think my favorite runs I've ever did was the Mud Girl run. I did that one last year, where it's like an obstacle course, and it kicked my butt, but I did really good. I was proud of my time for that, but I had to condition for that one. And then my other favorite one was the color run, and that one is where they blast you with color, and it's just like powdered color stuff, and so they encourage you to wear white clothing, so when you're done, you look like a piece of art. It's just fantastic. Oh, so good. Okay, so now, are you ready for us to get a little taboo? You're like, wait, I wasn't expecting this turn. So, my birthday theme this year that I'm going with is banned books. So why banned books? Well, for one, I am a literature major, and so I've studied literature across the board. I also have written several books, and I'm working on more. So clearly I love books. So the concept of banning books, oh, it hurts. It hurts, it hurts, it hurts. I would not. No. So I hope I'm not going to step on too many toes with this conversation, because it is a hot topic for some. But I wanted to talk about books and banned books and kind of some of the reasons why they're banned. And I'm going to give my unsolicited opinion. Mostly, the reason why I think that books should not be banned. I mean, knowledge needs to be accessible. And it's not about limiting exposure or extreme censorship, in my opinion. I think it's more about when it's something that's controversial, the best way is to really just kind of lean in and understand why. Have a discussion, right? So it's not just to cut it off and say, we're just going to block you from ever having access to this. I think it needs to be accessible, but it needs to come with a discussion. Kind of like when you're a parent, a lot of times, people tell you, oh, that movie is not child appropriate, or that game is not child appropriate, and there are absolutely things with content that I think you do need to be mindful of what they're ready and receptive for, but I don't think it's a hard stop age limit. It's more of their readiness and receival of it. So I mentioned once on a previous video that I don't see swear words as bad words. It's any word can become bad just depending on how you use it. Hurtful words, right? Just like a rock is a rock, but if you bludgeon somebody with it, it becomes a weapon. Same with words. If you use the F word in a F yeah excitement, that's gonna be different than if you are, cursing someone out. I feel it's the same with books, that you need to understand there is a context. So whether it was, because there are some books that it's like, okay, example, I'm rambling, my brain's going 1,000 miles a minute. So, for an example, Willy Wonka, right, and the Chocolate Factory just got a revamp. It got a new movie put out, which was really fun. But of course, anybody who's ever read the original Willy Wonka, and you hear about their description of the Oompa Loompas, yikes, wildly offensive, right? Extremely racist, terrible. And I do not in any way condone that those books, that kind of content is in any way okay or ever was okay. But I don't think that just removing it is necessarily the answer. I think we need to acknowledge it and look at why just has all this whimsy, and it's got a little bit of that rebellious attitude from kids, right? Because Max being the wild thing, it seems quite appropriate. There was a live movie adaptation of it years ago, which I think got kind of underappreciated. They tried to take a kind of artistic element of kind of making some of the kids that were like bullying the main character or interacting with them, they had the same traits as some of the monsters, so you could kind of see the connection of reality with this kind of imaginative world. Very clever, very fun. So, let's see, so that was that one. We have some other good kid ones too. This one I have to laugh about, that some of these, oh, I have so many books. I'm just gonna stack these up here. Okay, so this one, I had to laugh that it was banned. Captain Underpants series. These are so popular. I think they're freaking hilarious. They embody kind of a child's mindset so well. It's kids' humor through and through, which is why I think it's relatable to them. But of course, it's inappropriate because underwear, nudity, and again, it showcases rebellious attitudes towards authority, which for children I feel is kind of a bit of a given. In some ways, as much as we grown-ups might hate kids showing rebellion, I think it is necessary for them to test those boundaries, because if we didn't have people testing those boundaries, nothing would ever change. So sometimes we need to kind of test those limits, right? And of course, in this way, this book, it's this whole series, you have to realize it's not to be taken serious at all. I mean, this one alone, Captain Underpants and the Perilous Plot of Professor Poopy Pants. Whatever. I think it's great. In the same vein as the same author and everything is Dogman series. My youngest goes nuts for Dogman. Oh, there's a plane. I want to challenge one of you guys. If you can count how many times you hear the air traffic go by, leave it in the comments below, because it's a shockingly large amount of times they go by. Anyway, Dogman series, very fun, but again, it's kind of like making fun of the police force or challenging authority, or again, just inappropriate. I think it's totally fine. I think it's within the realm of kids just being kids and having fun. We don't have this series, but along with the same one is the, what is it, Super Diaper Kid, I think. And again, just silly and fun. This one I grew up reading. It's been around for ages. There's actually two of them. Classics. So sad that these are banned. The Light in the Attic and Where the Sidewalk Ends. So, Shel Silverstein, obviously most popularized for the story The Giving Tree, which I also have at the very bottom of very scary. But it's also kind of what enriches life so much, I think, because it makes it so much more precious, including your time, right? So this is why I say thank you for your time and sharing it with me, because that is the most precious thing you've got. So thank you for sharing your time. Alright, dialing it back. No more talk. Let's see. Why is where the sidewalk ends? Banned. So controversial because of profanity and the theme of rebellion. Oh, but profanity and rebellion. It gives birth to so many incredible things. This is why a lot of other parents probably don't like me. But again, it instigates change, right? Sometimes we have to at least test those boundaries in order to find out where we really land. But honestly, it's a lot of just poems, little poems, weird poems, and I don't see too much harm in it. Alright, so let's dive in even more. So I mentioned I have The Giving Tree. So The Giving Tree, I was honestly shocked that it was a banned book, and I'm guessing again it's probably because of morbid topics. Why is The Giving Tree banned? Alright, so it was interpreted as being sexist. And then also some people are largely despising the idea of selfless sacrifice. So sexist, I suppose I can kind of see where they're going with that, given the fact that The Giving Tree, I think, represents a lot of the nature of the relationship of like a mother, right? She gives up a lot of who she is to try and provide for her child. My copy's a little goobered up because it's been well loved. But I think it's, again, kind of good to question the roles that we play. Again, as a lot of our culture being primarily binary, we often will segregate out what the jobs are for men and women as caregivers for children often are seen as sacrificing so much of themselves, which, I mean, The Giving Tree literally just sacrifices all the way down to where she's a stump. So I think that kind of reflecting and questioning on those roles, on whether or not we can update them, whether or not they're okay, whether or not it was something that was willing that she did and an act of love, or it could be seen as she's being taken advantage of. However you want to interpret it. I don't think it's worth being banned, even if I do think, and don't hate me for this, that the image on the back's a little scary. I kind of wish they had a more, I remember as a kid feeling terrified. I kind of wish they had a kinder picture, but he looks a little brooding and scary. But great author. Another kid story, Charlotte's Web. This was also banned, again, for rebellious nature. I understand that a lot of people want to quell down rebellion, but it's kind of sort of an inevitable have so much more over here, and I might not be able to touch on every single one of them. I might just show some of them, but if you have a favorite book, please leave it on the comments below. If you have anything you recommend, I'm always in the market for new books. Also, if your book is a banned book, make sure to note that too. I'm not kidding, like almost every book has been banned somewhere at some point in time. So, speaking of back in time, we have a lot of great old books here. Older books. Got so many. Let's see, that's a good one. Okay, if you really want to talk taboo, here we go. Buckle up, buckaroo. This one, My Secret Garden, written by Nancy Friday, and this one, holy smokes, folks, this one got banned like almost immediately everywhere. Was wildly like received as just completely taboo because it is. So I'll just read the description. You'll blush, your pulse will race. This was by the New York Times, and it said, when it first appeared, Nancy Friday's taboo-shattering bestseller, My Secret Garden, created a mixed storm of outrage and exhilaration. Those women who feared their erotic fantasies called it pornographic. Those women who read it recognize it in the hidden context of their own sexuality. Now across America, psychiatrists like Dr. Leonard Kammer praise it for exposing one of the last areas of suppression and restrained communication in human behavior. Now, over 1 million women hail the astonishing study as a breakthrough book, a liberating force adding a new dimension to their sexual lives. Oh yeah. So, this is basically just an entire compilation of women's sexual fantasies that this author was brave enough to finally commit down into a book and put out there to try and normalize the concept that women have sexual desires, and that the things that they were fantasizing about, whether they were completely just like vanilla or extremely taboo, that all of it fell under the umbrella of being normal and healthy and a part of human experience. But oh my goodness, some of these stories, wow, it's a fun one. But yeah, as you can tell by the nature of it, anytime there's mention of women having sexual pleasure, it is immediately eject. So, of course, I'm gonna promote it because. So, also in the line of older books, we have a few classics here. Wizard of Oz, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. This got banned because Dorothy was the lead character, and there was people out there who are not happy about the story having a female lead. Yeah. And they didn't think that the story should primarily focus on a female heroine in the story. They thought back then that it should be about men, not women, stirring up trouble. And of course there was all sorts of elements that they thought made it witchcraft, because there's witches. Of course, if it's a female empowering book, feminist movement, I'm down for that. I think it's kind of silly that it was banned for that. I mean, again, I don't really agree with banning in general at all. I think that it is evidence that at the time things were far more sexist than they are even now. It has gotten better, but the fight's still going, as it will, because it's all just a little bit of history repeating. Alright, other classics: To Kill a Mockingbird and Catcher in the Rye. Things that had to deal with pieces of history that I think should not just be silenced. I think they need to be discussed and understood. Also very similar, Thousands Pieces of Gold. This was one I read in one of my literature, Chinese American literature classes that I took. And this one was a really good piece. I remember that it's certainly got a lot of hard concepts. It has to deal with kind of a woman being sold into slavery. There's a lot of sexual things in it of being taken advantage of. So a lot of the context is obviously not happy. But her resilience of the main character and the journey that she goes through was very eye-opening, and I think, again, should not just be erased. I think it's something that should be explored. Good book. Let's see, what else do we got? The Giver. This one was great. I read it when I was little, and there's a part of a whole series. It was like The Messenger and Gathering Blue, I believe, are the other ones. But the concept of kind of challenging societal norms, challenging the systems that you're in, questioning rebellion. Yeah, all good things. Other ones, of course, in the vein of rebellious against culture and not so much culture, I guess culture and societal norms, but Hunger Games. This one swept across the nation, wildly popular, and yet it was banned because, again, challenging a lot of the social structures and government, of course, being corrupt and everything. But fantastic story, very thrilling. And what do you know? There are scandalous politicians or people in places of power that may not always have our best intentions. Maybe that's unheard of. No. Alright. We're almost through, folks. I got a few more though. But first, I need more liquid poo. So, a couple of my favorite bookstores. We just recently visited Washington, and I absolutely have a soft spot for, the Elliott Bay bookstore. Beautiful, beautiful big building where the interior is all just creaky wood steps that go up to a second level where you can overlook all the rows and rows of books. And of course they have this cute little cafe in the corner. Cute corner cafe. And it's great vibes. Very wonderful. Another one I love is, of course, Powell's Bookstore in Oregon. That one is massive, and I can get lost in there for days, honestly. Do you guys have any bookstores that you love, like either hole-in-the-wall little bookstores or big challenging of authority there because, of course, the Ministry of Magic also had a little bit of its own corruption. I'm not gonna be afraid of spoilers at this point. If you haven't read the book, well, get to it. Okay, similarly, kind of magical realm, the Chronicles of Narnia. The Chronicles of Narnia. This was one I grew up reading as a kid. It was such a huge game changer for me in loving books, because as a kid I hated reading. Anytime I was told to read, I was like, no, not even. But this, total game changer for me. The concept of a hidden world being in my closet as a kid, like, how exciting is that? You want to just open every little, like, wooden old school door or cupboard and just be like, what's in there? But of course, this one actually, despite a lot of books being banned because it goes against religion, this one was banned because it was so relatable to religion, with Aslan taking on a lot of traits and experiences that reflected that of stories of the Bible. And so because of that concept, it was banned in some areas. And then for others, of course, it was banned because of kind of those magical elements again. So this one's a little contradictory. I believe it was C.S. Lewis who, on his deathbed, renounced his faith. I might be wrong with that. But I love a lot of C.S. Lewis stories. His poems also were wonderful. So, highly recommend. So the last ones I have, these are beautiful books. Fantastic books that have sadly all been banned in a lot of areas because they represent non-binary and characters in the LGBTQ plus community. So we have the Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, which is adorable. A must read along with a grilled cheese. That has to happen. Very romantic, very sweet. In that one you have characters where it was two women who fall in love, but one of them kind of presents as male. And so I don't want to give away too much, but definitely recommend. Very cute story. This one's upside down. This one's still growing. It is huge. So this one, She Loves to Cook and She Loves to Eat, is also a fantastic manga series. There's only 3 out, but a 4th one should be coming out this May. The reason why this is huge is because coming from Japan, where they're still fighting the fight about, same-sex marriage and trying to get a lot of that acceptance going around in their communities, when this came out, it was initially shut down hard, but then they continued and they got funding and support, and now it's just going strong, which I'm so excited. This one will make you hungry as well, and it's very cute. I was really surprised that in some of the latest books that came out in the 2nd and especially the 3rd one, they talked a lot more about the perspective of what it's like to kind of come to understanding your sexuality, and in this perspective as a woman who was in love with women. And so hearing that perspective and kind of challenging convention and all that, wonderful. Another good one is Little Fish. Now this one is going to be a lot more mature content. It's a lot harder. It is about a trans woman and her transition from being born male, assigned male at birth, and then transitioning into becoming a woman and all the things she's had to contend with. This one has a lot of harder concepts such as suicide, drug use, alcohol use. So of course this one, huge red flag for being banned, but I think it does give a little bit of a window into a lot of the hardships that the trans community has to go books. And that one is called, I think it was just called Transitions. I'll have to double check on that. But it's a story about a mother whose child becomes a trans man. So her kid was assigned female at birth and wanted to transition into being a man. And it was the mother's struggle of trying to change her thinking and approach acceptance of her child's transition, because when you have a kid and they assign a gender to your kid, it's very easy to then just get this pre-written script of what your life is going to be like. And so when that fundamentally shifts, you have to fundamentally shift your perspective as well, and that's challenging. That's not easy. So those are a lot of the different books that I have that are considered banned books. I have a whole lot more on my wish list, ones that are more focused on people in the people in the LGBTQ plus community. Also people where there's books that represent people of color that are being banned, which is heartbreaking to me. There's one that was like a book, what was it called, like Finding the Name, that was somebody that came from Korea, and it was her story about trying to find an American name because people couldn't pronounce her Korean name, and all the conflict that she had to deal with that. So a lot of wonderful books. If it is a banned book, I still encourage you to question why, and don't let those labels stop you from exploring, because I think most of the time when something is being silenced and stuffed away, it's all the more critical and usually telling that we need to put it into the light all the more. So that is why my birthday is themed on banned books, because I think that at my age, as I am now years old, I have come to find that more often than not, following the path of the unknown, challenging and questioning and reflecting are all things that are critical and crucial to being able to find balance and progression in your life. So, at least for mine, that's how it has worked. Your journey is going to be something that you're going to have to write on your own. But as I now enter into my next chapter, I am excited to continue pushing boundaries, questioning, reflecting, and seeing just where I can take things, including my ASMR channel. I am testing this out, making it up as I go, and challenging how it's done and learning how it's done. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the process. It might be a little chaotic, all the veins that I'm trying, but I'm having fun with it. So thank you so much for joining me for my birthday so that I didn't have to be alone. Thank you. Thank you for indulging my conversations about banned books. If you're also writing any stories, please feel free to let me know. I have also joined the NaNoWriMo community. I encourage you fellow writers out there to do the same. It is a great way to connect with other authors and aspiring